Hunger, nature, cruelty, unknown, family, modesty, control, love, clash, war, and faith. This montage of semiotic words summarizes the themes explored within Sol Friedman's post-structuralized documentary, Bacon and God's Wrath. Friedman uses reflexive and poetic modes of documentary to evoke symbolic meaning and to ultimately get the viewer questioning inner truths behind society's beliefs and constructs. Friedman critiques structuralism deeply embedded within society through the documentation of his almost 90-year-old subject, Rosie Brownstone, whose voice is built by doubt of fixed knowledge and a desire for fresh perspective as she questions reason over faith, rebelling against her Jewish heritage by eating bacon for the very first time. The viewer is immediately aware of Rosie's age. Not only is there a subheading stating, "This is Rosie, she is turning 90," but there are also visual cues employed by Friedman to tell the viewer so. The title of the documentary is in the form of what looks to be an old cookbook. A clever contrast considering an internet search for a recipe would ultimately start Rosie's religious decline. Rosie is also interviewed on an antique sofa, and there are shots which showcase her impressive collection of pottery, statues, and art. This tells the viewer Rosie is a complex character who holds a lifetime of knowledge underneath her fingertips, which is also supported by the close-up shots of Rosie's weathered hands. The setting is Rosie's living space, somewhere where she is able to feel comfortable opening up to Friedman. It is important to consider how this piece could have been altered if Friedman decided to interview Rosie somewhere else. She might not have opened up as much as she did. Friedman uses camera angles to say the unsaid. From pre to post-bacon consumption, Rosie is interviewed horizontally, a symbolic representation of her views and beliefs flipping completely sideways. The interview is relaxed from the get-go, with Rosie lying on her back and questioning the questions Friedman asks. Rosie even has her own input as to what she believes are important points for the documentary to expose. This is a reflexive technique used by Friedman to make his piece informative, to gain the trust of the audience as he breaks the fourth wall and reminds us all that this just happens to be a moment in time that he is documenting. Another example of this is towards the end of the film when Rosie goes to eat bacon and says, "What you're filming now is a small meaningless gesture." But it's more than that too. It's a symbolic advancement of reason over faith. Friedman uses music to alter mood, consisting of one instrument, an accordion, an instrument which holds much history, just like Rosie. In the beginning, the accordion is positive, catering for a simple and light-hearted tone. However, it becomes melancholy toward the end, meta-communicating Rosie's confusion to the audience as she declares through the act of eating bacon, she no longer believes. Through animation and voiceover, Friedman poetically alters time and space by recreating a story told to Rosie by her father. This story revolves around two mischievous girls getting punished by the town's rabbi. It was never specified through Rosie's voiceover what the girls actually got into trouble doing, but the animation depicts the inciting incident being the girls blowing bubblegum bubbles. Now, religion and punishment go hand in hand. However, I'm not sure anyone would constitute blowing bubblegum spheres as a sin needy of repentance. Friedman uses this depiction of harmless rebellion to get the viewer thinking about religion as a means of control. Friedman questions Rosie of how the girls were punished, but Rosie chooses to keep the information confidential, something Friedman uses to his advantage with a poetic exaggeration of the truth, animating the tongue of one of the girls being sliced off by one of the rabbis. It is evocative rather than authentic. The one positive thing the audience hears about the rabbi is his supportive message of faith being the only weapon needed to combat evil within society. However, the rabbi's credibility is quickly stripped away by Rosie's use of poetic irony as she tells the audience he was later arrested for selling guns. The theme of religion being an outdated construct is symbolized through the grainy archival footage of the rabbi. The rabbi was calling society wicked because postmodernization raised questions around his belief, and questioning faith is sinful. However, Rosie poetically speaks of religion with a fresh perspective, questioning the fact it could be a part of her genes or brain patterns. This rabbi is depicted as contradicting and controlling. However, This story could have easily been told differently and altered the effect it had on the viewer. What if the rabbi was depicted as a spreader of love rather than fear? What if Raisi mentioned the act the girls got in trouble for doing and it was actually deserving of punishment? Would the story then change? Point of view or POV shots take place as Raisi stares at the ceiling, immersing the audience within her thought process. This happens again when Raisi's animated character talks about her simple life while looking through the window from inside a moving bus, symbolizing the speed at which existence passes by as she stares at what looks to be the side of a highway or tunnel. On the bus, her animated character sits next to a child dressed up as a ghost, an image suggesting how her Jewish faith is on par with childish fables. They are both riding the same make-believe wave. Raisi speaks highly of the internet. Like the doctor or the police officer, it is called the Google. She talks about the Google with almost scholarly or biblical grammar, explaining how it gave her a profound experience and how some of her most intimate questions were not only answered, but predicted. This was more than she ever got from going to a synagogue. Friedman plays with poetic juxtaposition in this sequence, as the questions she types into Google are considered very serious within religion, however, are as easily answered as her requests for recipes. Raisi's conversation with a severed pig head is thought-provoking. Raisi's voice comes from a talking computer tablet, and Friedman's voice comes from the talking pig's head. The pig's head faces the tablet, both objects on either side of a dinner table, a place where sharing prayer is a religious requirement before eating. What is striking about this scene is how Raisi herself is present, but silent, letting the device do the talking for her. This tells the audience technology has assisted Raisi with finding in truths through factual evidence, and she is no longer stricken by her malleable emotions or morals. Thanks to the Google, Raisi can face her fears. Now, religious scholars such as Emil Durkheim have argued religion as a societal construct that aids to give meaning within life by tying people to these theories of superior spiritual values. Values which are just simply embedded within society. I believe Friedman was attempting with Bacon and God's Wrath to give across a similar message. Through poetic and reflexive modes, Friedman uses Raisi as his muse to lightheartedly challenge religion as an old-fashioned societal construct used to control the masses. Friedman reflects and asks questions subjectively rather than objectively in order for the audience to form their own opinions. Bacon and God's Wrath is not telling the audience what Friedman considers to be true, because frankly, he doesn't know. No one knows the truth. After all, the idea of religion promotes things beyond what humans are even able to fathom. Friedman is simply letting the viewer know it is okay to question.